Me, explain your relationship with Errol.
So I met Earl through a mutual friend named Thomas. I was training another professional boxer at the time, and I had trained with him for two fights. The first fight, he was like 2 weeks out of from the fight. I trained him for 2 weeks. He went 12 rounds. Then the next fight, I did a full count with him. He knocked the dude out in the first round.
Mm,
So after that fight, we didn't see eye to eye. So the guy Thomas found out about it, and so he was like, "Bro, don't worry about it. I got another boxer for you. I'm a friend of mine. He's a friend of mine, and I'm gonna hit him up and see if he want to work with you." And so we ended up meeting 24-hour fitness. Matter of fact, our first training session, one of the pictures is up on my Instagram. The first training session me and Earl ever had. Let me see if I can try to pull it up so I can just show it to you real quick because I've posted it recently. And
oh, it wasn't in Planet Fitness.
no. The first workout session me and Earl ever had was a 24-hour fitness. So this picture right here, that's the first picture of me and our first training session ever.
Nice.
And that's the guy in the middle that introduced us.
Okay. So what year was that?
2013.
2013.
Mm-hmm.
So um, when it comes down to, I've seen some of your accolades of how many years you've been working with. Well, 11 fights, 11 KOs.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
speak upon that development with you and Earl.
we trained from 2013 consistently through 2018. And then he went to he went to Mikey Garcia, Sean Porter fight without me, Danny Garcia fight without me. But I was supposed to train him for the Danny fight because his dad had called me. And then I trained him for the Manny fight. And then uh, he did the Ugas and the Crawford fight without me.
Okay. So you was like Chris Algieri,
Yeah,
Lamont Peterson. That was all you.
yeah.
What What was like the reasoning on why he wanted to choose you out of all people to be his strength and conditioning coach for that time?
I wouldn't know. I had no idea, brother. To be honest with you, like I say, a mutual friend of us linked us up, and what we did, was history. We went 5 years strong. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna be getting into the comments, guys. Shout out to everybody in the comments. This is Coach Blu-ray out of Dallas, strength and conditioning coach for athletes, celebrities, and boxers as well. And the notable name that he's been working with was Errol Spence. So now, talk to me when it comes down to watching the fight with, you know what? Even before that, when we start to see fights like the fights that you weren't working with him,
Yeah.
did you see a difference in Errol as far as his strength and conditioning is concerned?
In my opinion, yes, because I feel like uh, the Mikey fight, the Porter fight, that was in our heyday. When we was on our run, you know, I I believe he would have stopped both of them. Working with me, I believe he would have stopped both of them. Yeah, because I'm speaking, this was before the wreck, and even after the wreck, like I said, he brought me back for the Manny fight, and I believe he was gonna stop Manny. So
Right. Um, How do you go about your business as far as when you work with a boxer and you're working with the strength and conditioning coach? Do you look at film study on their prior fights?
nah, that's not my lane. It doesn't matter to me. My objective is to see where they're weak at, strengthen their weaknesses. Number one, because a lot of athletes they might look good on the outside. They might look good to the public eye, but when I assess them and when I get with them, I see the things that need to be tweaked and worked on. So the first thing I do when I work with any athlete is find out their weaknesses and strengthen their weaknesses because I don't have to strengthen your strengths. The only thing I have to do is build up on the foundation that you already have. But I try to strengthen the weaknesses. That's the first thing I look for.
Well, I heard a story that you warm up with 700 push-ups.
That's a fact.
Um, you know, Dealing with somebody like a strength and conditioning coach, a motivator, tell me something. When Errol started with you, and you started putting on these game plans as far as that many push-ups. I mean, what's the story? Talk to me about a
Uh,
good story to bring out to
You
the
know what?
media.
Nobody never asked me that yet. Because we didn't start doing the 700 push-up routine until the Algeria camp. So
Mm,
before that, to be transparent, I was still trying to figure the recipe out. You know what I'm saying?
yep.
Uh, Let me see real quick. Let me just pull up Earl box rate real quick. I need to
Because I seen a video of you. I think it looked like a household, but he was doing pull-ups, and I understand exactly what you meant when he was rocking on his pull-ups, and it takes a certain amount of abdominal
course.
strength to stay straight upon. So I was like, yeah, this guy definitely knows what he's doing because my brother, he's heavy into fitness, and starting my pull-up game, I was rocking too.
Yeah. You have to have a tight core. You have to have a certain amount of core strength. So we just started doing the so I had trained him 6 fights before we started doing the 700 push-ups. And then when I brought in the 700 push-ups, he was like, "Man, I can't do that."
Right.
Told him, I said, "Bro," because I work out with him anyway. I said, "Bro, if I can do it, you can do it." And then once we started doing it, it was like, it became easy to him. It was just a matter of conditioning his muscles to be able to put out that type of output. So, and Earl's a competitor, and he didn't want to see me outdo him. You know what I mean? So I started doing it. He started doing it. So, and next thing you know, it became easy. Some days, he would complain about it, you know, because it takes a lot to put out that type of output for a warm up and then continue to work out. Then he's sparring, then he's working with Derrick James. So it was a lot. But, like I used to tell him, I'm like, bro, we got to be consistent with it. And if we stay consistent with it, your body gonna condition. You know what I mean? And you'll be all right. And we started doing it. And you seen he was already a machine, but he just got stronger and stronger. You know what I mean?
Man, for sure, man. Salute to everybody on the chat once again. And Ray, I could understand when a coach pushes you with the strength and conditioning, and the mentality will come into working with Derek James in the gym. Talking to guys like Frank Martin, his stablemate, he tells me, he's like, this guy comes into the gym, and he's straight nonstop. Every punch is hard. Every punch is using 100% effort, and he's going into one workout right into the next. Do you believe that you developed that mentality, or do you believe that that was what Earl brought to the table?
Nah, that's what Earl brought to the table. To be honest with you, like
Nice.
one of those athletes. Like, to be honest with you, like say when I work with him, I'm gonna speak about when I work with him. When I work with him, you know what I mean. Now I gotta be real. It's some stuff he didn't like to do. You know what I mean? That
Hmm.
he want to do that we just didn't do. But as far as the inspiration and the motor, but I think it was different with me though, because I work out with him, so it's a push. You know what I'm saying? We,
Hmm.
but the one thing you ain't gotta tell him to do is run. If you don't do nothing else, he gonna run. He gonna run. He gonna spar. He gonna hit that bag for sure, for sure. So he has his own self will and self motivation. That's for sure. You know what I mean? I believe that when it comes to working out with me, it's a competitive thing because I'm doing it with him.
100%. 100%. Now, are you managing his weight, what he nutrition, the
No,
whole nine?
I wanted to when I was working with him, but nah, he did it on his own.
Okay. Okay. Um, when we talk about, I've seen several interviews upon gearing up to this big fight that happened July 29th. Um, one of the interviews that caught my eye was, Virgil Hunter's interview.
Yeah,
When we were talking about the strength in the body between Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. Now, a lot of what his opinion was, Virgil Hunter's was, is that Errol was built from the conditioning on the standpoint of the shoulders down, versus Terrence Crawford was built from the feet up. due to his wrestling background. Do you believe that when it comes to Errol Spence's footwork, do you believe in this game of boxing, he needs to implement a little bit more in his footwork to become a better fighter?
I'm gonna say this: Earl was not built from the top down because Earl is a he's if you watch his body, he's bigger. He's actually his legs, his lower body is bigger than his upper body. So I totally disagree with that assessment. Uh, and as far as what he needs to do to become a better boxer, that's not my lane because he was an Olympian. You know what I'm saying? So to say he needs to become a better boxer, uh, I think that's kind of insulting for somebody to achieve 3 belts and then somebody to say that he needs to become a better boxer. Now, if you were to say that, uh, as far as the game plan, that he could have made better adjustments, I can accept that. But to say he needs to become a better boxer, uh, after all he has accomplished in the boxing game, he's reached what 95% of boxers never reach. You know,
Correct.
so just
Correct.
that's insulting.
And it's not necessarily insulting because the question was, you know, the footwork to become a better boxer. I mean, I've had 13 amateur fights. I didn't even put no pair of gloves on until, my feet was where my coach wanted it to be. I think that when you want to set traps, when you want to create angles, when you want to be able to be a speedful and a powerful puncher, it all starts from the feet. So the
But
question was,
but
is like, as far as
but,
the conditioning with the
but
footwork.
nobody never had a problem with that, in my opinion, until this fight. You know what I'm saying? And so you know his style is his style. Styles do make fights.
Correct.
In my opinion, I just believe that Earl wasn't 100% himself. That's just my personal opinion. And so I seen somebody come and say, "Did you see the last fight?" Of course, I seen the fight, and that wasn't Earl Spence. If anybody listen, even Terrence Crawford fans were saying something's wrong. That wasn't because it wasn't even competitive. So the fact that we can be honest and everybody can be real, if we're not going to be subjective, we know that the fight he wasn't himself. So I believe that whether he bring me in camp or not, I hope he makes. If he doesn't bring me in camp, I hope he puts the right recipe together and put the right people around him to make him a better individual in the second fight. That's all I can hope.
Let's dig into the fight now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes down to the all access workouts, I know that boxers don't necessarily give it their all in those workouts because we got the cameras, whatever the case. It was nice to see both of them break a sweat. You don't really see that often. But in the same time, did you see anything off then, or did you see something off when he was in the locker room doing pads, or did you see it right from the first round? When did you see that this wasn't your guy 100% in that fight?
I seen that in when he was in the fight is what I'm saying. I seen that in the fight. Now, when it comes to uh the workouts, I wasn't fond of what he was doing. Like I wasn't fond of what I was saying. But at the same time, they could have been showing it all. But even if that's not the case, we know for sure that he wasn't strong in that fight for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? So, and it seems like his conditioning wasn't on point.
Mm. Um, Another thing that Virgil Hunter said in this fight, he said that there was a lot of bodybuilding workouts in this fight, and not enough lateral movement. And a lot of the top coaches in the sport believe that that's an area that a lot of fighters, are not great at when it comes to lateral movement.
Mm-hmm.
You can move north, you can move south, you could lift up and squat as much as you want, but workouts in the ring are the most important thing when it comes to lateral movement. Um, in this fight, do you believe that? That's why I asked. I was like, do you look at film to the point that it's like, I want my fighter to work out on these certain areas to become better for this style? You feel me?
No, for sure. No, of course. Yeah, I will tailor workouts based on their style. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, also my main objective is to make sure that they're powerful and make sure that they're super strong and make sure that they don't ever get tired. And only thing I can do is speak about Errol Spence performances when he worked with me. And everybody know every time that me and him was together, he stopped everybody. It wasn't even competitive. So that's just what it is. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. We had 11 fights, 11 straight stoppages. So
Right.
that's how I speak on. But my goal is to make you indestructible, make you that every time you punch somebody, they're gonna wish they were not in the ring. And
Mm.
results speak for themselves. So people can doubt and deny all they want, but they cannot deny what we did together, period. And how strong he was and how he looked and how dominant he was when me and him was together. And that's how I can speak on.
When we talk about, you know, him wanting this rematch, um, and then we kind of we have to talk about him and his car crash because you going 100 miles per hour, you coming off of a, a car like that. Uh,
Yeah.
it got to take something out of you. And he had two fights prior to that that didn't show. Maybe he was just that elite, and he didn't need to be 100% for those opponents. But in this fight, specifically, do you believe that possibly that car crash could have affected your brother? And because that's going to depend on exactly if we get this rematch or not. I understand he's a fighter and he wants this fight.
Yeah.
It's a fighter in him. It's
Yeah.
about the coaches and the people around him to take care of his safety.
I totally agree. You know, so I trained him for the Manning fight, right? And when I trained him for the Manning fight, I didn't see anything, and that was 2 years ago, right? So, me personally, from my observation, I didn't see any disabilities on no level, none of that. I didn't see nothing. I believe, like I said, when I trained him for the Manning fight, I believe he was going to stop Manning. If you hear the interview he had leading up to the fight when he was on Fred Barbershop Conversations, he said that I'm back to the old Errol Spence that when I was training with Blu-ray. It's on record. That's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Not me. That's what he said. So,
I seen it.
so we can only go off what Earl said and how he felt, and he was very confident, and he had his itch back from what I could see. You know what I mean? And I believe that the type of training we did, that he was going to do what he did best. So
100%. 100%. Ladies and gentlemen, we got 54 people on the live. What was that?
to answer your question is, at that point in time, I can't say that it had affected him. He looked good in the Danny fight, but so from that's all I can speak on. Now, as far as the Ugas fight, I really didn't pay attention to what was going on. Even the Crawford fight, I seen stuff here and there. What I seen on the internet, I really don't. So that's really up for him. You know, his dad and the people that love him, because I love him too. But I'm just saying, like the people that's close to him, that's with him on a day-to-day basis, to figure out, should he get back in the ring or not? You know what I'm saying? So, so I pray he get checked out neurologically because it's just something didn't seem right. And we can't, and we honest, like something can transpire and then years later it start affecting you.
To
That's a
occur. Correct.
that's a fact. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
I just believe that his handlers, all the people around him, I believe he has the resources to get the top people to make sure he's straight. I believe that his promoters and the people that his handlers, they have the right doctors and people to make sure that he's straight. And that's the only thing I really care about. The boxing is cool, whatever. The money is cool, but it don't mean nothing if you don't have the cognitive ability to be here to take care of your kids. And I've been knowing Earl kids. I've been knowing Earl before he had kids. You know what I'm saying? My
100%.
my son calls him uncle. So to this day, and you know what I mean. So my thing is that's all I care about, that he's straight. And so if he's straight, he checks out. You know what I mean? And he want to get back in there. Just had an off camp, and I believe at 154 the fight would be way more competitive.
Yeah, I normally
You can
see
pull
you
the
know.
you can pull the pictures up. It's right there.
Right, right, right. Yeah, you've seen in prior fights, Spence was more chiseled,
No,
especially.
that's a fact. I
Yeah,
matter of fact, I saw your picture right now. I'm gonna let y'all look. I'm gonna pull up a picture when I trained him for Kell Brook and see the difference.
it's crazy. That is nuts.
This is when
That's
I
a
Kell
Look
Brook.
at the packs.
This is for
That was the first thing that I seen automatically was the abdominal. You know what I'm saying? I seen that he was less cut, and to be a boxer, your abdominal needs to. That's like the main body that you want it to be at its top shape. You know what I'm saying? Everything comes from the middle. Um, when you see that as a coach, what do you see when it comes to that? Like, could you kind of understand like what type of training camp Errol Spence had when you
now.
seen those?
Boy, when I seen it, I just shook my head. That's all I can do because he,
You're
he
not.
decided he decided to work with somebody else. So what I'm gonna say? Only thing I can do is still cheer him on. I still put money on him. So at the end of the day, that's the decision that he made, my brother. That's all I can do. I'm still riding with him regardless. You know what I mean? But I just knew when I seen that, I was like, plus, like I said, when I seen the stuff that they had him doing, I was already disappointed, to be honest with
The stuff that he was doing, do you think that that helped more on the durability side?
you. Nah, hell no. Nah, hell no.
No,
No.
you just thought
So
that that was just not needed.
it was like it was just basic workouts, basic training. You know what I'm saying?
So you could already see certain things that's like, damn it. I wish that you could whisper in the guy's ear, but in reality, this is what you do for a living. So it's sometimes it's best just to let people just learn their own way. Is that what you thought?
Well, I really didn't think nothing about it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Be honest with you. Like, I don't sit around and think about like, cause I'm an asset in life. I'm a very valuable individual. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I train too many people. You know what I'm saying? I train everyday people. I just trained my nephew. He in the NBA, so I started getting a lot of different NBA players. So, I don't sit around and wonder why somebody not utilizing my services when they know I'm like that, and when they know that I know what I'm doing. So that's all I can speak on. But I'm always keep it real though. I was like, man, they training that dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, that's not gonna help. I was like, that's not gonna help. That's not gonna help. Just to be honest with
And looking at the styles, obviously you gotta, like I said, train accordingly. Some of those things that you seen Earl was doing, do you think that would lack in certain areas as far as like the speed department?
you. 100% facts. A lot of that stuff that I see him doing, I said that's gonna slow him down.
Mm.
And look how slow he was. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I completely agree because